I'm coming to you from my home office today to talk about Callicarpa americana. So this is American beautyberry. Americana means of or from America, and it's in the Lamiaceae family, or the mint family. So Callicarpa americana, as you can see, is a tall shrub. This one is about 10 feet over my head, and I would say it's probably 2 or 3 years old. So it's pretty fast growing where it volunteers, and so it's multi-stemmed, right? So that makes it a shrub. Never gets into a single stem tree or anything like that, but it can actually get to be quite a bit taller. I would say maybe 15 feet is as tall as I've seen it. So it's really easy to recognize from the fruits, and so for that reason, we're going to start with the leaves. So importantly, right, if you look at the leaf arrangement first, right, always a good place to start when you're trying to identify something unknown. You can see that there are 2 leaves per node, right? So it is opposite, an opposite leaf arrangement. And something that, I don't know if you can see very closely, let me try and zoom in a little bit. The leaves and the young stems are covered with these whitish fuzzy hairs. So that's a good attribute for Callicarpa. And if you look at the leaves, you'll see that they are elliptical, so they're widest at the middle, and then they taper towards the base and the tip. And another thing I want you to see with the leaves is that the tip is, how would you describe the tip? I would call it acute, right? So less than a 90-degree angle. And then if you look at the base is also acute, and the leaf tissue extends down the petiole. So it's a pretty long and tapered leaf base. And like I said, these are rather fuzzy with white hairs. Something that I've read several times that's a folk remedy is that this is a mosquito repellent species. So if you rub the leaves and rub that compound on you, that it will repel mosquitoes. I have to say this has not been successful in my case. So I've tried this a few times and still got eaten alive. So in my experience, this has not worked, but you know, never give up hope. And so next I want to talk about the fruits, because this is what makes beautyberries so distinctive. So since we've been recently talking about fruit arrangement, I thought we'd talk first about how these fruits are arranged on the stem. And so you can see there are these little clumps of drupe-like fruits, but they're not clustered at the ends of these branches, right? They're what we would call axillary, right? So they are in the axils, right? They're little clumps, or probably, I think these are like miniature panicles, little branch stems that contain these drupe-like fruits here at the bottom. And they start out green, but then they turn into this audacious and spectacular magenta. So this is the natural color of American beautyberry, this really, really bright magenta colored fruit. That is the wild color of the fruit that you would normally see. And so they start out green at the base, and then the ends turn color first, and then they, well, no, actually they turn color at the base, and then they get purpler as you go out towards the tip. So how did this thing get here in my yard? Well, I have one that is planted in my office window, which is right around the corner from my house, but probably a good 100 feet away. So this is a popular food for wildlife, so eaten by lots of birds. Now I have also read that it is not a super popular fruit for birds, and so it's eaten kind of later in the season when other things are unavailable. But that has not been my experience at all. I have seen this bush just covered from about now until early October, just covered with bluebirds and finches and Carolina wrens, just gobbling up those fruits and sort of jockeying for position on the stems. So it's very likely that one of those birds came over to this part of my yard and pooped out the seed where it self-planted. And in fact, this does produce a ton of seedlings, so I always have lots of seedlings around the base plant. I give away lots of these if anybody needs one for their garden. It's a great plant to have. So this is also, because of the beautiful fruits, it is widely cultivated, but it is a facultative wetland plant. So that means that it can be found in wetlands, and probably most frequently found in the coastal plain in these wetland sites. You'll just see, I had a friend who was doing her research in a clear-cut area, and so just among the slash, these huge beautyberry bushes would pop up, just covered with these really beautiful fruits. So it is cultivated, it is selected for. You can buy white fruited varieties and varieties in different colors, but the native plant has these purple fruits, and that's what I have to tell you about American beautyberry, or Callicarpa americana, and that's a wrap.